What is up, everybody? This is Christoph, and we are here on ExtraNormal Podcast, where we talk about abnormal stories for these extra normal times. My name, again, is Christoph. Alongside me is...
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Brianna.
Hey, it's Brianna.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Aren't you going to ask me... We had a little conversation last episode. Aren't you going to ask me how I'm doing for once?
What's new with you?
Nothing.
How are you doing?
Just Christmas bullshit now.
Another squeaky chair.
In the fucking... I know. I apologize about the squeaky chair and a frozen camera that...
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's going to keep happening.
You called it.
I did.
I'm sorry.
It's going to keep happening. Anyways, how have you been, Brianna?
You know, I'm really excited for this holiday season.
Are you? You're in the mood. You're in the Festivus mood.
I really am. And yeah,
you got your pagan
happy.
Tree up. You got your pagan lights up. I'm assuming
we already
lights
put
are
the
pagan
mushroom
too.
presents on the tree, and yeah, we're ready to open them up and eat them.
How fucking lame were pagan Christmases back then. You got a fucking mushroom. Hey. We're going to do a Christmas episode, so stay tuned for that. I have some ideas, so we'll get into that.
Let's talk about Krampus.
Krampus.
But I wanted to talk about a funny story.
A funny story?
That popped up in my Google News, and I think I sent you the link too.
I think you did.
I thought it was like...
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought it was like really exciting. Apparently, in Russia, they discovered the zombie virus.
Oh, good.
So
they finally figured that out. So
yeah,
TV comes real.
COVID's like almost gone, and so now we get this scare. It's so ridiculous. Let me read you guys the article. Thawing of frozen landscapes has potentially unleashed infectious zombie virus that have been locked underground for thousands of years, according to new research. 1/4 of the northern hemisphere has permanently frozen ground beneath it and is facing irreversible thawing due to the climate crisis. This decomposing landscape releases carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, adding...
Decomposing Landscape is my favorite black metal band, by the way.
Adding more heat to the planet. The new study, led by microbiologist Jean-Marie Olympic from the French National Center of Scientific Research, looked at samples collected from the permafrost in the Russian province of Siberia, like the Huskies. From these, scientists were able to awaken 13 new viruses, which they labeled zombie viruses, including one which remained infectious after more than 48,000 years in deep permafrost.
So where do they house this shit?
Here's what pisses me off. Like, did you experiment on somebody? Did they become a zombie? You cannot label it a zombie virus if it is not eating people's brains. Like how? Where do they get the name for that?
How does in movie lore? I know zombies are generally like a disease that takes over, and you get bitten. That's how it's transmitted in the fucking zombie lore.
Yeah.
But what does it do? Does it? I know, and I don't know. Notoriously, zombies love the taste of brains. But what the fuck does it do to your brain if you get the virus?
The only thing I could think of is kind of like what we talked about in our last episode. If you guys didn't tune into our last episode, which I wanted to touch base on that and a funny thing about that in a little bit. But like how it was saying, like the Black Plague, they were worried about the infectious disease still infecting people, even though the bodies were dead, so they had to burn them.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like with this, it's like how do you know if it was from thousands of years ago? Like how do you know, and how can you label it the zombie virus? Unless
they're just trying to be cute. They're trying to be cute, and they're trying to get fucking attention.
Well, they are.
It's probably a gnarly disease, because I don't think
there's like
they're not
memes
saying
going
that.
around this. There's reels. Like everybody's fucking talking about this.
I'm sure that everybody's like, oh, like 2022 already started. Blah, blah.
And didn't you
fill in the blank?
You the one who told me a while back ago that there was a poll that if there was that the zombie virus could actually be, it could something that could happen. Wasn't there some like
Well, I would imagine that there's something that could resemble a zombie virus. Because what's the fucking? I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but what's the fucking cat virus that everybody says you get if you have cats? That's in the kitty litter.
Cat scratch fever.
No, it's the cat.
Besides the song.
From the kitty litter virus from the kitty litter. Yeah, that like makes you. Like it kind of earworms into your brain. So I could see
it's very dangerous when you're pregnant. Like your baby could come out if like breathing in the fumes. They would say that your babies can come out blind and have different issues. So
it's apparently a toxoplasma parasite, and it's in cat shit essentially, and it alters your brain a little bit, and it alters cats' brains a little bit. So there could be conceivably a virus that.
Speaking of,
oh my God,
he knows we're talking about him. For all the people listening to us. My cat just jumped on my lap.
Yeah, for all your audios, we just have a cat invasion.
Funny! He knows.
He's trying to defend himself.
He's a very smart cat.
He can't defend himself though. But you could see a virus like latching onto the brain and kind of taking over the controls a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's as like extreme as like all of a sudden you have like you're mummified essentially and you have a taste for brains.
Well, there has been at least since I've been alive, which I would guess prior to my living life expectancy, however you say that word.
Expectancy or something?
Like I've read reports where there's been like people eating other humans. Like wasn't there that story about that man? He was like naked and he was like eating.
Oh, that was a bath salt thing.
He was eating a homeless person.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
It's how it affects your brain, so to speak. So I think in certain aspects, that the zombie virus can be real. Oh yeah, and there's people that also believe that the COVID virus is the zombie virus. So eventually, like when the 5G,
that's the switch.
Yeah. When the 5G really kicks in and they keep going higher and higher, that's like, and from all like the boosters and stuff that people take,
it's all coming together.
Rattle our brain.
It's a fucking plan, man. It's all planned. Everybody's in on it.
Which I find it so interesting because it's like, I feel like if you were injected with a virus that was going to affect your brain, how would it just like be turned on like a switch? I think it would already be affecting it, you know?
You figure they would be scientifically be very hard for them to control that, to like have it like dormant and then have something that would, especially from a kind of a broad source, like a 5G network or something like that. It'd be hard to picture that for sure. And I don't know if they really need it because like they have cell phones, like, and they have enough current networks to manipulate us to not care about all the shit that's happening and all that shit. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I believe that. That's nuts. And the thing is, like, you imagine like with this, we don't know. That kind of leads to like the woes of climate change, because whether it like come with your own theories. I think that humans are definitely not fucking helping. They're no way even close to helping the natural cyclical nature of climate change, but we're adding a ton to it. But like, we're going to start seeing real effects of fucking climate change like soon. It's like water's going to be super short. Diseases are going to crop up that we're not used to.
About the Mississippi River, like there's parts of it that are starting to run dry.
Yeah. We're still fucking kicking the can down the road, but eventually we're not going to be able to like. There's going to be no more road to kick the can down. We're gonna have some real fucking issues, maybe in our lifetime, that are gonna like we're gonna see. You know, if you look at all the fucking. I mean, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but if you look at all the fucking storms, all the fucking natural, and yeah, sure, there's always been, hurricanes, but they're getting nasty and they're getting more frequent. They're getting really nasty, and there's always been like, big storms and big earthquakes and big floods and stuff like that, but it seems more frequent and more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just reading an article like that where you're like, from all the sci-fi, like the zombie movies
Yeah.
and zombie series that we've watched. Like, it's just so like, goddamn.
I think I might be on. I think I might be already on the record, but I want to restate the fact that I think that more than likely, more than an asteroid or more than some mega flood or whatever that wouldn't actually wipe out the human. But I think scientists are going to be eventually. They're obviously the cause of our extended life, and they are doing miraculous things and wonderful things. But I think eventually some scientist is going to make the ultimate oopsie, whether it be too much fucking AI and they take over, or scientists are exploring this like fucking ice cap in Russia or whatever, and they unleash the fucking deadly virus that kills everybody. I think eventually, like, my theory is that, like, my working, like, if I were taking a death pools on the human race, I think scientists eventually, one of them or multiple of them are going to fuck up, and they're going to cause the demise of the earth in some strong way. That's how I think, more than an asteroid. Obviously an asteroid, and eventually the sun's going to fucking explode and all that stuff. But
I do agree with you.
it's like we're playing like it. I'm not the guy who ever cries playing God, but you know, we do, like, humans are more and more playing fucking God, and eventually, like, you know, as in a lot of religious texts, God has a big heavy hand. And so the more we act like God, the more our actions are heavy, our hand is bigger and our hammer is mightier. And there's going to be accidents, and there's going to be greed, and there's going to be corruption and all that stuff that is going to lead towards, you could look at it now, the fucking oil industry and everything, like corruption and greed and human, you know, scientific discovery from ages ago, but still scientific discovery, is going to lead to our demise eventually, I think. But who could say?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's just wild.
It is wild. I don't fucking know. I have no idea. You know what I've been on lately? I've been on for some reason I got back on I don't know why. I got back on a little bit of a true crime kick. Have you heard of the Axeman of New Orleans?
No.
So there's a famous, and there's a lot of lore around this person, and it was definitely a gentleman. But there is a serial killer. New Orleans has its own sort of, I don't want to say Jack the Ripper, but that style where a man went on a murdering serial killer spree. So there's the consensus, the kind of given accepted time frame is May of 1918 to October of 1919. It's definitely when the Axeman of New Orleans was out there hatcheting people up, and hammering people up and all that stuff. There is some speculation that he might have been floating around in 1911 and doing some extra credit stuff around then. But for sure, he was floating around as of at least 1918. And what the Axeman would do is he would, in the middle of the night, and I hope I don't upset you on this one, because he had a type. He had a murdering type. And they were all Italian immigrants. So I don't know if you have any family in New Orleans.
Lying.
No, he would attack.
Was he Italian?
Nobody knows. And so they're not
so
sure.
Straight up, he is like a Jack the Ripper.
There's speculation that he might have either had some resentment toward immigrants of Italian descent, or just immigrants in general, or he might have. There were some theories.
I've never heard this.
There were some flimsy theories that maybe it was related to the mob, because whenever Italians are floated out there, of course, someone has to fucking throw out a mob theory. But that doesn't really hold much water. But
was there even a mob?
Oh yeah.
At that.
Oh yeah.
In that time.
They weren't. So the mob really grew into prominence, as far as I know.
40s.
This is not the History Channel, but during Prohibition is when they flourished, because they were able to
so like the 20s.
seize up. But the mob and kind of protecting and protection fees and stuff were around that time. So there was the mob. They just didn't. They weren't like the Godfather mob, the mob you fucking see, like. But they were around for sure. And I don't even know if Al Capone was doing his. Acapulco was not doing it.
How dare you?
I don't know if the restaurant Acapulco was around, but I'm sure they were doing their thing too.
That's also a place in Mexico.
It is. It is. So the reason why he got dubbed the Axeman is because the vicious thing is, his modus operandi is he would, while usually a couple.
Now, was it males or was it females or all? Like, doesn't matter.
So it seems to be
Italian.
Yeah, that's true. Any comers, as long as you're Italian. But he seemed to there was men and women who fell victim to the Axeman, and he seemed to target women, and men were more of a casualty of his casualties, right? It was like, oh, the man's there too, so let me, like the Golden State Killer, right? The target was women, and if men were there, well, then that's part of the price of business, that kind of thing. But he would go in and he would break into houses, and he would find whatever was laying around in the backyard. So if there was an axe, if there was a hammer, whatever it was, he wouldn't
even bring his own stuff.
He didn't even have the courtesy to fucking bring his BYOMW, bring your own murder weapon. He didn't even have that courtesy. He stole shit and used that against him, and he killed.
What if he couldn't find anything? Just use his bare hands.
I think that I'm guessing that his kick and his how he got his rocks is I would imagine that he probably lingered around in the backyard, because this is all pre-hand. They know how he got in the houses and stuff like that, and they know the murder weapons, and they know how he got the murder weapons. But I'm sure that he would just break into a backyard and poke around like a fucking creep, and if he found an axe, he would be like, okay, I'm going in, or a hammer, okay, I'm going in. So he did that, and he was not caught. The part that makes him famous is there was a letter that he wrote in. Let me see the newspaper that he wrote it in.
My real question is to you.
So he wrote it in all the newspapers. He just blasted out the newspaper.
Looking for Italian killers.
He killed around 6 to 7 people, right? I think around
Italian?
7 confirmed.
But I just
he killed like 7.
I'm gonna look up stuff to piss off my wife.
Maybe a few. No. The reason why he's famous, and I'll read this in a second, but he wrote a letter to the newspapers, dated March 19th, and he said, and this is what he said to the newspapers. He said, on March 19th, this is purportedly to be him. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible. Even as the ether that surrounds your earth, I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleans and you foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with blood and brains of those of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I am a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigation in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only assume me, but his satanic majesty, Francis Joseph, etc. So he's listing off some of the suspects and saying, that ain't it. But tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am. For if it were better they were never born than to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleans think of me as a horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to be. If I wished, I could pray a visit to your city every night, at will. So this is the part that really catches the imagination of everybody. He says, now to be exact, at 12:15 earthly time on the next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then so much for the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that the same of your people who do not jazz it out on that specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and is about the time I leave you earthly home, I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been and am and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or in realm of fantasy. Signed, the Axeman. So that Tuesday, New Orleans was packed. Every single jazz hall on that Tuesday night after that letter was packed to the brim. You could hear in the streets of New Orleans, you could always hear jazz music, but it was, everybody was playing jazz.
So people would just stay there all night and listen to the music?
Up until at least 12:15 to avoid the wrath of the Axeman. And he murdered after, so that night, everybody was spared. There's no reported cases of the Axeman.
Right.
But he murdered after the fact. After that, there was a few other murders. And then the Axeman disappeared. Nobody knows.
What year?
So that the
1919?
the last confirmed murder from the Axeman was October of 1919. And after that, the Axeman disappeared. There's speculation that it might have been.
Isn't that when the Spanish flu started?
It started around there. I think it started. I know it's infamously called the Spanish flu of 1919, but I think it started briefly before that. I think. Don't quote me on that. But there's speculation that it might have been someone by the name of Joseph Monfrey who was shot dead in Los Angeles in December of 1920.
Why?
This is the speculation why they think it might be Joseph. So crime writer, then this is from Wikipedia to source it out. Crime writer Colin Wilson speculates the Axeman could have been Joseph Monfrey, a man shot to death in Los Angeles in December 1920 by the widow of Mike Pepitone, the Axeman's last known victim. Wilson's theory has been widely repeated in other true crime books and websites. However, true crime writer Michael Newton searched New Orleans and Los Angeles public, police, and court records as well as newspaper archives and failed to find any evidence of a man with the name Joseph Monfrey or a similar name having been assaulted or killed in Los Angeles. So it's hard to find, again, with some of this, the more mythical true crime stuff. Yeah. It's hard to pin down who that was. And there was.
So my question to you is, do you think that this was a real life person? Do you think it was a demon that took over a human being's body?
So I think it was a human.
You think it was just a person?
Not a possessed person. I think it was someone who was a serial killer, and I think that the person liked that fear, and it's even now, but especially in that time, the biggest way to incite fear is to say that you're a spirit and you're a demon and you're like coming from Satan's womb or whatever fucking bullshit. I think that was how he, because a lot of these
of the supernatural
serial killers get fucking their rocks off on power, and that him sending that letter and people fear and people lining up in fucking jazz halls and shit like that to save themselves probably really got him off on that end. So I do think that it was clearly, and he might think because, infamously, the son of Sam, right? Mm-hmm. You know why he said he murdered, right?
He was possessed or whatever.
He was possessed by the devil that was in his neighbor's dog. So serial killers I mean, obviously they're not of right mind, so he might have thought that he was possessed by the devil. Was he actually possessed by the devil?
Me.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But he ended up killing 12 people. So he got and to this day nobody knows who the Axeman is. But there's songs, there's little jazz songs. The Axeman's Jazz is about the Axeman of New Orleans.
That's where it gets like convoluted, because it's like, you're this demon from another world, and you only kill Italians.
I don't think
like if you're truly like, I feel like if you're a possessed demon, like, I don't think that you're gonna go by a stereotype. You're not gonna have a type to kill. Like, I don't think that demons are
choosy,
sexist, racist. You know, and yeah, I like, to me, it's not like, you know. And then I'm gonna go listen to some jazz music.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I think
that's where I'm like, okay, this was definitely just.
I don't think. For the record, there is about a less than a 1% chance, very, very low, like not even close to 1% chance, that I think he was actually possessed by an actual demon. Like he was just inciting that to fucking fuck with people. And I think that I do believe that he probably would have murdered that night if the jazz halls weren't packed, as a way, because he got his way of dominating and expressing his powers. He incited fear in the city in some way. And if they wouldn't have listened to him, and if the jazz hall would have been average attendance for a Tuesday night, then I think he would have been pissed and he would have went out and murdered. I do think that the jazz halls saved the wrath of the Axeman, who was human, but a fucking frightening, whoever it was fucking frightening without mercy, and took real glee in it. Like, it's scary. But there's song, the Axeman's Jazz, I'd play it for you, but we'd get taken down off of YouTube and Spotify and all that shit.
No. I want to hear it later.
But there's jazz songs written specifically after that, and so.
Crazy. Wow, that was a really good story.
Thank you.
I've never heard that before. And you know me, like, I love my New Orleans shit. So
yeah, it's part of the New Orleans lore, and it's a scary tale because nobody had any inkling of who he was. And
I would like to, because you know New Orleans, there's all the haunted places to go. I wonder if there's anything like surrounding him, like a place where he murdered, where
you could probably go to I don't know if there's still houses, but I'm sure there's a few.
Like a place where he murdered, and maybe like there's still spirits roaming or something.
There's about 6 of them, yeah.
Crazy.
6 or 7 spots. This and all of a sudden I got into like, again, I got on a true crime kick, and I got into murder and fucking music. You know Phil Spector, right? Mm-mm. You don't know who Phil Spector is? No. Infamously, he created the Wall of Sound. And one of the reasons why I got so fascinated, because we're on Christmas time, and everybody knows the Ronettes during Christmas, like sleigh bells and all that stuff. The man who created that sound was Phil Spector. And so he was a very famous musician. He was born in 1933, grew up in the Bronx, created that infamous sound with the wall sound with the Ronettes. He worked with the Beatles. He worked with the Ramones. He worked with all kinds of people. Mm-hmm. Well, this man...
Oh, I do know.
You know Phil Spector now?
Oh, yeah. Isn't he a murderer, right?
Well, spoiler alert, murder barely lean.
Hey, you asked me. Don't ask.
I know, right?
I'm so bad with names, but I was like, I know it. And then when you said the Ronettes, I was like, oh.
He worked with Ike and Tina Turner. He worked with all kinds of very famous people. Wild. Notoriously an awful person to work with. He was a terrible person. He loved guns. Like not like people own guns or they don't own guns. He loved guns. Like, he had them in the studio. He pointed a gun at fucking John Lennon before he got the ultimate gun pointed at him.
Not even Yoko Ono, it was John Lennon?
No, it was John Lennon. Did it have
something to do with Yoko Ono?
It might have. But apparently John Lennon was infamous for saying that if you're going to shoot me, kill me, because I don't want it to ruin my hearing if you miss. God. Luckily, John Lennon didn't get, I was going to say luckily John Lennon didn't get shot, but that's, yeah.
At least by him.
At least by him. But Phil Spector was this massive massive recording artist, and he was considered a genius by everybody in the industry. Again, notoriously awful to work with. He was awful to the Ronette, which is the Ronette he was married to. He was married to one, and he was abusive. He would threaten everybody. He was awful. But he was never checked. He still was able to work in the industry. Still was able to own a giant house, be in the scene.
White privilege.
All kinds of privilege. So his demise though took place with, like you said, he ended up on February 3rd, 2003. He was on there was an actress. I'm having a lot of trouble with words. There was an actress by the name of Lana Clarkson, who was initially, she was a model, and then she turned into like kind of a B movie actress. She was in like Roger Corman movies, which are like super cheesy science fiction movies. But she had a spell where she wasn't working as much because she got up there in age, and unfortunately in the industry, like females, like once you get up there in age, like you gotta have you gotta be like a fucking Meryl Streep to keep working. Yeah. It's insane. But she was trying to keep networking, so she got a part-time job as a hostess at the House of Blues. On the night of February 3rd, 2003, there might have been February 2nd, and then it carried over to the night of the morning of February 3rd. But Phil Spector walked in with a date. She initially really pissed him off because I don't remember if you remember in the courthouse, he would wear fucking wigs. Do you remember this? No. Crazy ass like wig. So he was wearing like at the House of Blues, he was wearing this giant wig, and so she thought he was a female, and so he got irate at this, and so he was already pissed, and so she was trying to be nice and everything, and try to like customer service it over by being super nice to him. Mm-hmm. Well, he took a liking that his date, fucking Phil Spector's date, scrambled because she was a little bit weirded out from him because he was boozed up, he was pilled up, he was everything under the sun. He was
just some coke.
Jacked, like he was fucking gone, and he had a driver. And so Lana, who was again the hostess, who was an actress, model, all that stuff, she was walking out, and Phil Spector was in his limo, and he basically coaxed her. It's like, baby, it's cold outside for the Christmas. Like he coaxed her into going. Like she's like, no. He's like, just one drink. And so she eventually relented and went in the car with her. And that's the last time she's seen alive, is on that CCTV, which is the closed circuit televisions, was her getting into his limo. And he took her to his what he called his castle, which was one of his fucking pride and joys in Alhambra. And she got inside. Driver was waiting outside, right? Because that's his gig. Like, if Phil Spector wants to go somewhere random at 3 a.m., like, that's his job. And the driver's sitting there, and he hears a pop. And he goes...
What do you mean he's a pop?
Here's a pop.
Oh.
Here's a pop. And so he goes, and he goes to start checking on it, and Phil Spector walks out, I think with the gun in his hand, and he says... Phil Spector on that night goes between admitting it and saying other things. So he says, I think I killed somebody, or something of that effect. Let me see what he actually said.
Was he still wearing his wig at this time?
I don't think so. I think the wig had fallen off. I think. Hold on. So as he walked out, he's the Adriano de Souza, who is the driver, is quoted as saying, he heard, I think I killed somebody, from Phil Spector. And so the driver does. So if you were that person, who would you call first? And this gets to...
The driver?
The driver. If you're the driver, who would you call first?
Like, working for somebody that is already kind of a, like, schizophrenic person. Like, you don't know what to expect from him, and he's already aggressive.
Sure.
And sure, if he's lashed out on the driver a million times.
I'm sure.
I would probably call you or my mom and be like, what do I do? I'm scared for my life now, because I know how aggressive he is, and I know that he could potentially kill somebody. And then I would probably, after talking to you guys and you know, being shooken up, I'd probably call the police.
Yeah. So what, instead of calling his wife or his mom or his kids, or he called Phil Spector's assistant.
Why?
Because Phil Spector had this assistant that he trusted that was always around. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why his instinct was first to call the maybe assistant.
Clean up the mess, or
maybe this is like the Hollywood scandal type of shit. Like, who knows if the assistant would
stuff both of them have seen.
If I'm very curious if the assistant, because slight spoiler, 5 seconds ahead, is that the assistant didn't answer the phone. If the assistant would have answered the phone, I wonder how that would have shaken out. If we would have Phil Spector still at the House of Blues the next week. But the driver couldn't get a hold of the assistant. So he ended up calling the police. And the police, he calls and he's like, I think my boss killed somebody. Could you imagine having that phone call?
In my car, yeah.
Not in the car. So they were in the house. So the driver was waiting outside of the house. Oh. And he was just, he's the driver. So you don't allow it in the house. Like, that's...
You're just hanging out until he needs you again.
Especially the Phil Spector type. Like, he was awful. Like, he was an awful human being. Like, he was a bully and everything. So the driver couldn't be in the house. Like, I'm sure the driver got to spend some toilet time on the guest house, but no, he was not. He was in the car, so he heard the pop. And Phil Spector walks outside of the castle, quote unquote castle, and says, "I think I killed somebody." And the driver
what was his
knew
response to when he said, "I think you killed somebody."
I don't know. It's very murky on how he reacted to that. But I think Phil went back inside to try to fucking rearrange shit. But so he calls the police, and again, the driver he knows well that Lana Clarkson was in the house. Like, she didn't leave and stuff like that. So he calls the cops and he says, I think my boss killed. So the cops show up. And that's when Phil Spector's story starts to change. He says she kissed the gun. It was suicide. He started making up all kinds of fucking crazy ass shit to try to convince the police that it wasn't him, that it was like that this random fucking lady who might have had some depression issues, maybe, walked in a random person's house, took his gun, and shot herself. Is the batshittiest fucking like defense theory ever. But that's what he kept saying. And at that night, he was belligerent, and as he was being interviewed by the cops, because he was taken right away, because they're like, this is fucking shady as shit. Mm-hmm. He was going in between like, that bitch had it coming, to like, she committed suicide. I'm the victim here.
Oh God.
And so, anyways, like, long story short on this is that he went to trial. He had fucking a bunch of high profile. He had one of the attorneys who defended O.J. Simpson.
Wow. He
had the Menendez brothers attorney. He had and he kept firing them because he's like, you're all like fucking pieces of shit. Like, you're not like you represent. And he ended up having a new attorney like right before closing argument. So surprise, surprise, one was a mistrial, and then they did it and he got found guilty. And Phil Spector spent the rest of his life until he died from COVID complications in 2021 in prison. And so whenever I hear that fucking Christmas song, it's like all I can think about is fucking Phil Spector. Oh. That piece of shit. Like, he was a fucking asshole. And he lived a very good long life being a fucking bully until 2003 when it finally hit him in the...
How old was he when he got incarcerated?
So in 2003, he died in 2021. He died at the age of 81. So he was about like 61, somewhere around probably 63. So he was up there in age. Like, he had a long life of being a piece of shit. Yeah. Like, it's just nobody had anything good to say about him personally. Like, everybody was like, "Oh, he's a genius. He's a genius." But personally, he was a piece of shit, and also happened to be a fucking murderer.
Wow.
So yeah, anytime you listen to Ronettes, just go ahead and think of Phil Spector.
well, his wife, whatever run it that he was married to,
she tried to tell them too.
Oh, of course.
She tried to tell
everybody.
They
didn't listen to her because she's a minority. You know.
Fuck no. That like nobody listened to her. Like she was like he is an abusive person, and I think people knew that he was. It was one of those things. I think it was There was like a lot of like turning the other cheek for celebrities and musicians and actors, like when they did terrible things because they were high profile. Right. I think those days are pretty much over. Like I don't think a Phil Spector could fucking survive like that level. Like you could be a piece of, there's plenty of people in the music industry who are fucking downright awful.
Right.
But I mean, pulling a gun on John Lennon, I feel like the equivalent of like pulling a gun on fucking Taylor Swift, I think would get your career ended nowadays. Yeah. Like the Genius thing would be fucking over. Completely over. Anyways, that's what I got. A real true crime crick for music.
I'm just over here like the zombie virus is coming.
You're scared.
But you know what's interesting? Totally off subject. We're all over the place tonight, and that's kind of how my brain works. So
I love off subject. This whole podcast is off subject.
I was driving to work. Was it last Saturday? Maybe 2 Saturdays ago. I had to be like, or it might have been Sunday. I had to be there at like 7, and so I'm driving super early. The sun's out, but it's barely out, and it's super bright. And then like as I'm driving, like not on the freeway yet, I see like what looks like what people call the chemtrails or whatever.
Yeah, brother.
But like it's not. It looks like some kind of like rocket ship. So it looks like it's going. You can't see it. You literally just see the trail behind it, and the trail doesn't leave the chemtrail like you see. It's like maybe like I would say the size of like, I don't know, maybe like a mile behind it, but it's dissolving. So it's clearly just like water, like from, like flying and all what happens when the motor's going and all that kind of
science
stuff.
And shit.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's not a chemtrail. But then it starts like like I see it in front of me and, it's really up high. And then, like, as I'm driving, look away, no big deal, right? And then I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's moving really fast. Like, it like, just like, boom, like, just shot super fast. I was like, that doesn't seem like it would be, like, one of our crafts or whatever. And then, like, it's going even faster. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm saying this out loud, driving by myself. I'm like, who are you? And then, like, I'm like trying to like chase it, trying to go a little bit faster before I have to get on the freeway to go the opposite way.
You're a UFO chaser.
And I'm just like, gosh, what are you doing? And then it would like slow down again. And I would like not catch up to it by any means. It's way, who knows how high up in the sky. Like I said, all I can see is the water that's dissolving.
Sounds like you were high up in the sky.
That's making a wish. But and then all of a sudden I see it like it kind of like stops and it starts like doing this pulsating thing and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like driving, but I really wanted to videotape. But then at that point when it started doing that, I just like had to hop on the freeway. But it was really interesting.
So you gave me kind of, I think you already gave me the answer to the question I'm about to ask. But do you, if you run into, like if you see a UFO on the horizon, right? It's fairly clearly a UFO. Are you heading towards that shit, or are you like staying put, or are you going the opposite way? Like which way are you going?
I'm going to talk to them either telepathically or
they're not talking to you. You're chasing a ship. Are you chasing that ship to get closer to try to talk to them, or are you going the other way? Or standing your ground?
I might take a little snapshot, but I'm going to head the other direction.
You're going to go up.
And I'm going to let them know I come in peace.
You could catch that shit on TV if it's really.
There's a lot of bad humans out there, but don't fuck with this one, please. I'm just.
You guys, your aliens life. Ever heard of the Axeman?
Like,
what if aliens
like,
are just
I'm only
into
a quarter Italian?
What what if aliens came down and they were a fan of our podcast and they said, we want to be the first interview?
Let's do it.
How excited would you be? You'd be thrilled, right?
We
beat fucking Sukulos. Fuck you, Sukulos. I love you, Sukulos. Fuck you, Sukulos.
Be
I love you.
Hoping that we could be friends. I want more.
What would you even talk about, though? You just like talk about like, what do you do on your planet?
If there's
what's your food? What's your food?
2 moons on their planet,
like Tatooine.
If there's sunsets,
do they have wars and stars?
I would. There's so many things. Like,
is there a Boba Fett?
Like, how they treat their children and the food they eat. Do they have taco trucks? Like, just all the
what if
things.
so?
What's their traditions? Do they have holidays? Like, I don't know. Like, what's their religion? Do they believe? Is there a religion? Like, what do they believe?
Would you be okay if they eat humans, but not if like dead humans, like already dead humans? Like they don't murder; they just eat. Already, like they're like they're like scavengers.
Our cat, basically like our cat. If we
pretty much, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, we live with a cat that would do that. So
fucking asshole. Where is he?
Hey, if the going gets
you're already
tough,
trying to take a chunk out of you tonight. Yeah.
If my question to you is, if the going gets tough,
did the tough get going? What?
Would you eat me if I died before you and you had no food and you were desperate and there was a zombie apocalypse outside and you knew you couldn't really go out and hunt?
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, I would not mind.
Well, yeah, I don't think I could. I don't think I could because...
But you were starving. Like, you haven't eaten.
I get that.
So
I'm hungry. I get that. But the
when
thing...
that takes over you.
When the feeling takes over
I mean,
me.
of course, like, you can cook it up, take a
okay, I can season it right. I'm going to season it if I'm...
the booty's probably the best part, so...
Get a little rump. No, I don't think I could because here's the thing. Is life worth it at that point? Like if
I love that. Isn't he the greatest?
I mean, I am the greatest. Thank you. Like Muhammad Ali.
Gosh.
But like there's like my family's gone.
A threshold.
There's a fucking zombie apocalypse. Why? Who cares? Just fucking
when we've been watching when we watched The Walking Dead, there was a lot of times where I was like, I just don't think I would want to live anymore.
It's miserable.
Yeah. What they
and all those people,
it just was like scenario after scenario, fucked up events,
And all those people in The Walking Dead smell like pure asshole. They all fucking stunk so bad. Like, it's just disgusting. You're stinking. You're constantly paranoid. There's like zombies. And then the real enemies, guys, is the humans. I don't know if you've seen the show. But
True.
Like, it's just you're fighting for survival.
Yeah.
You're building shitty makeshift fences. You're living in abandoned houses, and they're just like creepy and just how would you? It just and it's a distinction.
But here's the kicker. Like, how would you?
Here's the chomper.
How would you end your life? Because if
I wouldn't go out into the wilderness to get eaten by zombies.
No, but what I'm saying is, would you want to become the undead?
No, not at all.
Is it a bullet to the head then? Is that how do you kill a zombie? The bullet to the head, right?
I think, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the universal fucking thing. Is like you cut off the brain source, so chopping or bullet. Okay. That's kind of I think that it kind of mixed. It's mixed depending on the show, but I think universally, like you're guaranteed to get a good kill out of a zombie if you got him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do, and it's a different distinction if if my family's still around, right? Like, because I'm living for you, protection. I'm living for the little one. Like, but if everybody else is gone, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
true.
The fuck?
God, what a dark thought.
What if? Would you stick around if zombies were semi-intelligent and it was like you just had to live with zombies? We're like just kind of
what's that show Clementine watches?
No, fucking it's literally called Zombies.
Yeah.
But you're the only human, and they look down on you,
one.
and they've already ate some of your family.
Yeah, no, no, you can't forgive that. You can't trust that. Why are you gonna live a life where
where someone ate your friend and your family?
And you're next.
Am I next? Oh shit, son of a bitch! I was gonna ask you a question, but I completely lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, actually. Would you take a bite out of a little crisser? You could say yes. I won't be offended.
When I think of
little scared.
When I think of like as an individual myself, I would want to just end. But if we still had the little one and she really needed to eat, I wouldn't know what else to do.
Yeah, no, that at that point I'm like,
so there's like scenarios where like, do I just kill me and my daughter? Like, you know what I mean? There's just like,
no, I think at that point you gotta
thing. If it was just me, like
you could take a chomp out of me, but I'm just
no. If it was me, I'll be gone to November. Like I'm done. But yeah, like that's the only thing when you're a parent, you start to think differently. Like,
oh sure,
survival mode,
completely different.
It doesn't matter. Like we have to survive, and I think if it ever got to that point, I think we're not the people that we are today. Like we're going to be so harder, colder. We're not
warmer,
the same. Yeah, so,
warmer.
Yeah.
I was just playing warmer.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Well, on the bright side, thousands of monkeys celebrate feast day in central Thailand, and it's bananas, according to HuffPost. There's a monkey celebrate feast. There's a feast day for monkeys.
Up?
I think some of them are wearing.
Oh.
I'm sure some of them get to wear bow ties. A meal. I'm reading this from HuffPost, by the way. A meal fit for monkeys was served on Sunday at the annual Monkey Feast Festival in central Thailand. Makes me want to go to Thailand. Amid the morning traffic, rows of monkey statues holding trays were lined up outside the compound of ancient 3 pagodas, while volunteers prepared food across the road for real monkeys. The symbol of the Purbi, sorry if I'm butchering that, I apologize, province, around 150 kilometers is how they say it, actually. Kilometers sound so intense. Sounds like an American saying it. North of Bangkok. Throngs of macaque monkeys, that is how you pronounce macaque, ran around, at times fighting with each other while the crowds of visitors and locals grew. So basically there's a festival where monkeys get to have a buffet. That sounds like fun. It. Can we have that in America?
But which type of monkeys are those? Chimpanzees?
Macaques, they're like little monkeys. They're like small little monkeys like this one. Okay, I'm showing you a picture of a macaque.
Those look like chimpanzees to me.
They look like, no, they're not chimpanzees.
Wait. The
statue servers,
okay,
yeah.
These guys, okay, that's a chimpanzee.
Yes, Okay.
Yeah, the little ones, yeah, that would be cute. But I was thinking of chimpanzee. I was like, aren't they aggressive and bite your face off?
They're fairly aggressive. Oh, yeah, for sure. Pet monkeys are incredibly dangerous.
I would watch that from afar.
Like, pet monkeys, like once they get older, the hormones they turn into like teenagers with like superhuman strength that don't want to be in the house. Like, just imagine a pouty teenager who throws like some shit and breaks across. Just imagine
just like
that.
The cat on my lap right now.
Yeah.
He threw a fit when he was the dumbass that wanted to sit there.
It was his choice.
Yeah.
Not our problem.
You asked for it. I didn't.
Well, this has been an episode of ExtraNormal Podcast. My name again is Christoph. Alongside me is Brianna. You can follow us at ExtraNormal Podcast on TikTok,
it's cold outside.
Twitter. That song is so fucking dumb. Can we hold on? Pause that. Can we have a discussion about that song? It's Christmas time. That song is fucking dumb. I don't get like you all.
I like it. Shut up.
You all woke warriors versus cancel culture deniers. You all have your fight. Objectively, that song is dumb. I'm upset
with somebody. Okay, we have somebody live on here.
Okay.
Like, if we were first dating, I know you would never be that aggressive, but
he's not even aggressive. He's just a fucking loser.
If I was like, oh, I have to go, and you're like, oh, you should stay a little longer, I'd be like, no, but okay. Like going back to like when we were 22, like I feel like for sure I did play like hard to get with you, and you fucking loved it. So I feel like girls have to do that shit. It's all a game. It's part of it. People need to like stop reading so much into it. Oh my God, he's putting a fucking roofie in her drink.
He definitely did rape her after. And she did not survive the fucking night. There's no way that loser didn't fucking murder her. He might be the Axeman. There might be a song based on the Axeman.
I can see your chat, John 14:120.
Yes, we can. Hey, no, that's one of the things now I officially fucking hate that song, is because this whole discussion on whether it's fucking date rapey or not, it is date rapey, whether it should be canceled or not, I should say, is putting it in the fucking mix. Like when that song should have died its rightful slow fucking death as a dumb song. And the whole, it's cute because she's playing hard to get. It's a 4-minute song about someone like being persistent and someone playing hard to get. Like, it's just too much. It's too much.
He's not being that persistent.
He is. He's like, oh, she's like, no. He's like, yes, no, yes.
People would also say that she was being a doormat. She could have easily been like,
of course,
bitch, give me your motherfucking coat. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Like, like.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing, is that they're both fucking sloppy. They're both, all right, that's it. I'm done. This upset me. You officially did it. You fucking upset me.
We're talking about the song, Baby It's Cold Outside.
We got sidetracked.
I like the song.
I hate it.
And I don't think that it's a date rape song.
It is. I think
it's a girl, especially for the time. I think she's playing hard.
You know what it is?
It's the cat and mouse, the chase. The men love it. The women love doing it. It's all a part of it. And I think for the song to get so like, just especially like now, it's like, how come nobody was thinking this like 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Because there was a lot of date rape, a lot more date rape.
God, females date rape too.
That's right.
I have not.
I couldn't agree more. No, it's just, I don't know. It's like, and I think also too, what doesn't help that fucking song is the way every single one of the dude singers sing it. They sing it all fucking creepy. I think they all sing it fucking creepily. I'll never like that song.
You'll never like it, and
because it sucks. That song sucks.
It doesn't bother me.
We should do
I just think of nostalgic songs, and it's a holiday song.
Okay, what's the worst Christmas song?
Oh God, I love.
I'll go first. Baby Cold Outside.
Fuck you. No, the Beatles. The Beatles one.
Bum, 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 bum.
The one is right.
That's a pretty bad one.
It doesn't flow. I love the Beatles. Huge fan. Fuck that
Not really
song.
Going out on a limb of the bit.
Fuck that song. It gets stuck in your head. It's weird. It's got that. Was it the 70s where that came out? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It was a very 70s, like, I hated that part of the 70s.
There's a lot of bad Christmas songs.
But
and the problem
that would be
bad
like my
Christmas
ultimate,
songs?
like, worst of the worst. There's another one. Oh, the one. I don't want to fucking tell you because you're going to start playing it for me. It's like Christmas. Like, is it a newer one? It's like, I don't even know. It's so bad though. It's like robotic almost. And then it's like, that's Christmas.
What are you talking about?
And next time I hear it,
that's not an actual song.
I have not heard it in a long time. And
I haven't heard it ever. That sounds terrible.
Why do they play this song? All
right, we're going to do it. We're going to, as part of one of our Christmas episodes, we're gonna do a poll for worst fucking Christmas song ever. We're not gonna do best because who gives a shit? There's some good ones, but
I think although people might agree with you on Baby It's Cold Outside,
it sucks.
I wouldn't say they would think it's the worst song. I think that
people are not gonna say it's the worst.
Worst songs.
There's worse songs than that.
Yeah.
Fucking loser. That guy's a loser. This has been an episode of Extra Normal Podcast. My name again is Christoph. Alongside me is Brianna. You can find us at Extra Normal Podcast on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. You can find us
YouTube.
On YouTube. You can like, subscribe, get notifications to see when we randomly go live. You might just be on YouTube and see we're going live, and it's like catching a unicorn. It's a beautiful fucking thing. Check it out. You can email us extranormalpodcast@gmail.com if you have any thoughts about the Axeman, Phil Spector, zombie viruses, whether you eat your partner in the case of a zombie virus, or
Gotta do what you gotta do.
whether a certain Christmas song sucks. Let us know. And thanks for listening.